tonight, and that was achieved. There's a lot of bright spots. Certainly things showed up in a positive way in terms of physicality and conditioning and execution, particularly in the offensive side of the ball. And overall, thought we played relatively hard. Things that stand out that we have to work on that showed up in not such a positive light were a couple penalties that need to be avoided, that we can't waste positive plays by having those penalties. Tackling was up and down. We had some good moments, bad moments, but third down, just pass rush, discipline, lanes, and contain. Things of that nature that allowed for some big plays to bust out the door and sustain some of their drives are things we got to get better at. First and goal, obviously we fumbled the ball there. That's inexcusable. We went under center, and that didn't work out with the new center. I should have done a better job coaching that, and a couple substitution errors. But aside from that, a lot of balance, some big plays on both sides of the ball to control the game early, and really proud of the second and third team guys that went in there and executed at a high level and sustained the momentum to close out the football game. So 1-0, some good things, stuff to work on, and looking forward to getting back to work tomorrow. Questions, please.
Mario, how valuable is it that you did have a lot of guys that, number one, you got film up, and number two, you got a lot of guys that feel good about themselves up there because they contributed. A lot of guys did a lot of good things, like you just said. How valuable is that as a stepping stone going forward?
Well, I think the valuable part is validation of if you work hard enough and if you earn playing time, you're going to play at some point in time, whether you've earned first team reps, second or third team reps. And then what also is validated is the fact that when they did get in there, they executed. You don't move the ball down the field, and you got after the quarterback on the other side, covered down pretty well. So, it's positive. It is, and it's progress. And the best part about it is to be able to go in there tomorrow and start really highlighting and pinpointing those things that aren't good enough, right? I mean, what you don't want to feel your consequences, right? You want to learn your lessons along the way, and a film like this is a good opportunity to do so.
Mario, you mentioned some of the penalties, and we could see you after it was Cam's pick, and you got the penalty, kind of giving it to those guys a little bit. In these early, obviously you can build the culture all off season, but how important is it to do that in these early seasons?
You got to knock that out. You got to knock that out. I mean, rules are rules. And you know what? We don't play football on our own terms. We play it on football rules terms. Cam's a great human being, great player, great team leader. Excited, caught up in the moment, but you know what? We got to feel and conduct ourselves in a manner where, we're used to doing that, or we expect to do that. And now, what we need to do? We need to go and get our teammates and the rest of that stadium rocking and fired up. The self-glorification stuff, and he's not that. He's a good guy, real good guy. But you know what? It's all about the teaching moments. That's what we're here for. So we'll learn, we'll move forward.
Mario, seven rushing touchdowns, just a really good day on the ground, and some tough running down towards the goal line by those guys. Just what did you see from the run game today?
Look, the offensive line took control of the line of scrimmage, and the backs ran hard. We got downhill in the form of power, in the form of counter, inside zone, got some wide zone going as well. We knew that, from a depth standpoint, we would have an advantage. So, and we trained these elements all day long. That was like a very nice day for us out there compared to what we've been practicing in. So, thought that, again, the line of scrimmage was handled very well by the offensive line. I don't think they allowed any sacks, maybe one pressure. And there's plenty of hat position, I would say leverage instances that we could work on, and that we can be a really good offensive line. Ja'Kai went out, but Ja'Kai is okay. Just talking to the trainer now, in case you guys are going to ask something.
Quarterback play, Tyler and Jake. Anything you could say?
Statistically, I'm not sure what they were. I guess I'll give it to you here. Tyler, 13 of 16, 193, 2 touchdowns. Jake, 8 of 8. So they performed really well. The one fumble, we switched centers when Ja'Kai got hurt, and JD's a lefty, and we've run that play predominantly with Ja'Kai. So I should have done a better job seeing that and kept us in the pistol or the gun to run that play. We got him to center. He's a left-handed snapper, and that ball came out. We've done it, but just not to the point where it's as airtight as we want it to be. So, but I thought Jake played great. Tyler was exceptional. I mean, both these guys have proven once again that they play winning football for us.
Mario, the build-up to this was the new era of Canes football under you, the culture change. Are you just glad to get this one out of the way so people stop talking about that and you move forward now?
No, I don't. I live a very sheltered life, man. I mean, it's like to the office, back home, like 24/7. So, in terms of talking noise outside of that, I mean, put the same shirt, color, right, the same pants. Outside stuff has never affected anything, and truly, and You know, some people say things to sound cool or nice in a press conference. I don't. The last thing in the world on my mind is me. I'm talking about the very last thing on my mind. These guys have I would say, you know, when there's change is difficult, and especially a blueprint like this that demands a world of you, and they've done a really good job of taking it on, and they wanted to see the results as much as anything else. But we need to stay process oriented. A couple times along the way you saw, we got out of whack, right? We had a substitution error, right? We had a busted coverage on their touchdown. We had they broke contain when we had Cage on the quarterback and he got out. But back to process got us a little bit better and more toward what we wanted to do. So, in terms of me getting stuff out of the way, no, brother, this is the best, you know. This is the best. I'm sure a lot of our guys would like to keep playing, you know. They did a good job tonight.
Coach Henry and Thad, they were pretty solid today. Offensively, as balanced as you can be, almost equal. What do you take away from that, or is there anything really to learn? Because you know it was a basic situation and probably by design. But what do you take away from that, especially with him coming home?
Sure, I take away that we did what we had to do. We did what we planned. We executed to a level that we expected to execute against a team that we have a lot of respect for, that has some good players and that plays hard. But we also have a personnel advantage, and you know, it's when you play any opponent, you got to make sure that the complete and utter focus is on you, right? So you do what you're supposed to do. Both those guys ran hard. We like to be a balanced offense. We want to score as many points as we possibly can while having control of the game, which I think is really important. You got to play this thing as a team, right? Sometimes you can light it up and go tempo and, you know, light that thing up for a bunch of points, and sometimes you got to play to the strength of your team, which might be helping the defense out some. So today was a good example of having a balanced offense and just continuing just to go and keep our foot on the gas.
And just to follow up, if I could, on that Keyshawn run back, I don't want to get you to say anything you don't want to. But
I know what you're going to say, and you're trying to do it. The official, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it looked like he probably shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. So we can see the whites of the knuckles, but, you know.
Mario, Leonard Taylor came out during the game. Jalen Knighton didn't play, and Jacoby George wasn't on the sideline.
Sure.
Didn't see him warming up. What's their status?
Okay, a couple of announcements. Number one, and we hold stuff till after the game sometimes, so there's no distractions. Jacoby serving a 2-game suspension. Isaiah Horton a 1-game suspension. Jalen Harrell a 2-game suspension. Jalen Knighton his was a soft tissue injury. We expected him back. It was really close, and we chose not to because it was too close to feel good about it. Leonard Taylor was a stinger, and all indications in the locker room right there that he's going to be good to go, as is Jakai, which were the two today which had some issues.
Mario, you talked about statistically how good Tyler played today, but from a leadership standpoint, how pleased were you with him maybe on the sidelines or what he did in the locker room to keep his team motivated?
The one word that stands out is ownership. He had ownership of the offense. He took ownership at the line of scrimmage, made it transcend over the sideline, the locker room. Just all in all, a guy that continues to grow and lead this football team in a manner you want your quarterback to do so.
Thank you. Last lap. We're gonna go ahead, Coach. We got one more.
Man, they got you right there, huh, buddy? Go ahead.
What led to the decision of using Keyshawn Smith as a returner, and how do you think he played in that role?
Well, I mean, he's excelled at it. You know, if you watch tape in different parts of, you know, high school career and whatnot. And we spent a lot of time, you know, working a couple of particular returns. But there's about 3 or 4 guys back there that have shown that they can hit it. And he's one of those guys that when he goes, he just goes, and he has the ability to make guys miss subtly, which is very important when you're a kickoff returner, because if you slow down at all, it's a rally and you're tackled. So really good job by him, really good job by the kickoff return team, and not to mention, I think special mention to Andy, I believe he had 9 or 10 touchbacks today. All right, that makes things very, very different in terms of field position. So I really appreciate you guys being here today. Thank you very much, and thank you for hanging around. Go Canes.